Hey, what's going on, everybody? So this is going to be our next build guide video for 3.7 Legion. This is my Soulwrest Phantasm Necromancer. Level 91 right now, and this build is so ridiculous. It's a freaking blast. So let's go over the passive tree real quick so you guys can see what we're working with. We are a Necromancer. We came down, grabbed Commander of Darkness, through Mistress of Sacrifice, through Invoker, and then to Bone Sculptor. Skeletons are going to be kind of our single target, and the Phantasms are going to be just everything because they're super good. So as far as pathing goes, we came up this way, grabbed a life, minion damage, came up. Jewel sockets are very important for this build. We'll go over what jewels, mods and stuff you want on your jewels and all that in a second. But we came up through life, grabbed Death Attunement just for the extra skellies and all the minion damage. Then we came over and down, grabbed the minion damage down here, and went down to the Scion Life Wheel, picked all this up, a jewel socket, jewel socket, jewel socket, came over, grabbed another jewel socket through leadership, because we are using some auras, so we do want that to constantly be affecting our minions, even if they're a little bit far away from us, as well as some reservation. Came down, grabbed another jewel socket, came down, grabbed the dex, grabbed this life. You're not super starved for dexterity on this character because of some of the gear that we're using, and I'll show you guys that in a second. But a few extra little points into dex. It also prevents us from having to use the dexterity conversion jewel up here to convert this into dexterity, which allows us to use another jewel socket, which is nice. Came down, grabbed this life, minion life, all the way down through Sovereignty, which is really, really good. Lots of good reduction right here, as well as some curse or aura effectiveness, which is a big deal. Grab the life wheel. It's actually more efficient to come through here. You get a little bit more damage. 8% attack and cast speed isn't nearly as big of a deal as 20% minion damage. Came down here, another jewel socket, and the life. So it's as much minion, all the minion nodes, jewel sockets, and life is all that you need. We also grabbed quick recovery for some mana regeneration. So that's the overall. We're going to be coming down here trying to grab this other jewel socket, and then eventually we're going to grab through Whirling Barrier, because this is a lot of really, really good block that we already are kind of stacking up a little bit. So that's the passive tree, guys. Right there. That's probably the most efficient way to do it. Some people drop this off and go down this way for more life, or come down here and really come down into the Marauder Duelist area, but it's a little inefficient. I'll be putting the POB and stuff in there so you guys can see the pathing. The thing with POB for Phantasms, though, is it does not calculate Phantasm DPS. So, yeah, it's a little weird. So you're not going to be able to see the Phantasm. You're only going to be able to see the skeleton damage. But you'll clearly be able to see when I run through this T15 map that Phantasms are broken as hell. I also killed Shaper Deathless with this. That video will be down there. I killed an Abyss boss. I'm like that close to Uber Elder, and I'll be uploading that as soon as I am able to take that down. So gear, we are using, this is the backbone of this build. I didn't even know this existed, so I got one to drop, and I hadn't seen it before, and I was like, I want to make a build around that. And it turned out to be extremely good. It gives you some block chance. Summon Phantasm skill when you consume a corpse is what makes this staff ridiculous. So, anytime you cast a offering, anytime you consume a corp with Volatile Dead, anything, it will summon a Phantasm. So you don't have to wait for your minions to kill anything to have Phantasms available, right? So it also gives you some cast speed, which is really nice, mana regen, and then minions deal 46 to 78 additional physical damage, right? Just as physical damage. So the Phantasms themselves are projectile spells. So any kind, they're physical projectile spells. So they're very specific, so this is really, really good. If you consume a corpse recently, you and nearby allies regenerate life per second, which is pretty much constantly, because we are also running Bubonic Trails. So the Death Walk consumes corpses. So every time you walk over a corpse with the Bubonic Trail, it summons a new Phantasm. So all you have to do, cast a couple Desecrates, blow them up with Flesh Offering, for instance, and just run. And the map clears itself. It's ridiculous, it's extremely fast, and it's extremely fun. So that's what we are running for our boots. For our gloves, Grip of the Council is best in slot. So this stacks with your Hatred aura. So minions gain 20% physical damage as extra cold damage, I'm sorry. Stacks with you and nearby allies, keep in mind, back to the same thing that we talked about in another video, allies, not just party members, 25% of physical damage as extra cold damage. So we're at 45% of our total physical damage as extra cold damage, and then more cold damage on top of that. Ridiculous. Super strong. You want to run Grip of the Council. Belt, we're just running a hybrid Stygian with as much resistances as you can on it. We are using Sequal's Nest because Aspect of the Avian is ridiculously good. It's good for farming, it's good for minions, and it's just good for damage. It gives your minions, when you run Aspect of the Avian with Sequal's Nest, it gives your minions 20% chance to deal double damage. Really, really strong. It also cycles back and forth and gives you and minions 20% move speed as well. So you'll see when I run through this map, this character is extremely fast, and farming is just ridiculous. So we did get Aspect of the Avian on a ring, and then we just crafted some all-res onto it. This is going to be probably the most expensive piece of gear you're going to find. The Soulwrest does not need to be 6-linked, it just needs to be a 6-socket, because you're only using it to support the Phatasms. The helmet you are using to support your skeletons. So bone helmet, you need at least an eye level 84 to get the minion damage roll to be a tier 1. So ideally you'd want minion damage, life, level of minion gems, and then whatever resistance is. That's kind of hard to come by, so I got life, minion damage. Immolate is actually not bad because we are running added fire in our setup for our skeletons, but that's the helmet. Ideally, best in slot would be a bone helmet with the increased minion damage, supported by minion damage, and then the socketed minion gems and life. So this one's pretty good. I tried crafting another one, but it started getting into multiple exalts, and I try and make all my builds more accessible than not. You're not going to see mirror tier gear on any of my items because that's not accessible to like 90% of the people who play Path of Exile. So I try and keep things as cheap, but this is a little bit on the expensive side. You can just get minion damage life on there without the immolate, and it'll still do just fine. Amulet, this Dex, Attributes, Hybrid, ES, Life. You don't really need the Hybrid, but if you can get it, why not? Just adds to your survivability. As much resistances as you can. This is pretty solid as far as the ring. I actually crafted this one myself. Really solid resistances on that. So that is the overall gear, guys. That is what we are using. Now, as far as sockets in our Soulwrest, we're running Controlled Destruction, Summon Phantasm support, faster projectiles, added fire, minion damage, and greater multiple projectiles. So, wow, why are you putting Summon Phantasms in your staff that summons Phantasms already? Even POB does this wrong, okay? POB will say it's not applicable, you're wasting a link. You're not. Putting a Summon Phantasm skill gem into Soulwrest that already summons Phantasms, it doubles the number. So instead of 10 Phantasms, you have 20. So you want to run this. That's a huge, huge damage multiplier to have double the amount of minions with all these links, right? So that's what you want to run in your staff. For your skeletons, if you can get a percentage Val summon skeletons, I'd recommend it. It's not a huge deal, but it does give them a % damage per % quality on the gem itself. And then Val summon skeletons is really good against Spike and endgame bosses. It just summons a bunch of stuff, let your minions do the job, and then you can summon your more powerful minions. It works as like a giant meat shield, basically. But you run summon skeletons, melee fizz, multi-strike, which is really, really good because of how they changed it. Second repeat of supported skills do 97% more damage, so that's a huge multiplier for your skeletons. And then added fire damage. So that's what you want to run in that. In your Bubonic Trail, now 2 Abyssal Socket Bubonic Trails are really expensive. I used a 1-socket Bubonic Trail for like ever. So the increased damage for each type of Abyssal Jewel affecting you is a trap, because that damage per Abyssal Jewel affecting you does not apply to your minions. So you want pretty much ghastly eye jewels across the board. So, for example, this one's pretty good. Life, minions deal additional physical damage are usually what you want. If you can find it, life minion leech is really, really good. That gives your Phatasms a lot more survivability, because they already last for about 15 to 20 seconds without any kind of like investment in skill duration at all. So that's really good. But the leech does help a lot, helps keep them alive. You can also pick up that node on the tree that gives you minion leech as well. Ideally, you're going to want, let's see, let me pull one up. So, nope, not that one. Here we go. Nope, that's cast speed if minions killed recently. Here we go. So ideally, this is the kind of jewel that you're going to want, right? You're going to want life, minions deal additional physical damage, and increase minion damage if you've used a minion skill recently. So anytime you do a offering or summon skeletons or whatever, your minions are going to get increased damage, right? So that's really good. These do get a bit expensive. So what you want to do is prioritize the life for you, and then the flat physical minion damage for your minions is what you want on your jewels. If you're going for normal jewels, you want life, minion damage, any kind of resist to kind of polish out your resist, so you don't have to have as good of gear and resistances. But that's what you're going to want on jewels. Percent life, minion damage, percent life, minion damage, flat life, flat minion damage, etc. So that's kind of the stuff you want to aim for on your jewels. For a good life roll and a good minions deal physical damage roll, they're about 15 to 20 C a pop, but they are a huge deal. So you're still looking at spending probably about 100 chaos or so on jewels to really push it into the end game and be able to do Shaper without a problem and push into Uber Elder. So that is what we are running there. So the Bubonic Trail are nice to get that extra jewel socket, but you can use a one socket Bubonic Trail. They're like a chaos, right? And it does the same thing. These are a mandatory unique for this because of the Death Walk automatically summoning new Phantasms for you as you kill stuff and run around. Really big deal. For our guard skill, we're running Steel Skin and cast 1 damage taken in our Bubonic Trail. In our gloves, we are running Animate Guardian, Minion Life, Flesh Offering, and a Portal Gem. You can swap out the Portal Gem for Flame Dash if you want a movement skill to be able to dodge some of Shaper Slams and stuff. I don't really find it necessary, but it can be something that you can drop in there, and then you just swap out Portal and carry Portal Scrolls. In our chest, in our Sequal's Nest, we are running Hatred, Enlighten Support, Generosity, and then Desecrate and Convocation. So the only links that you need in this, and the only links that you want in this, is Hatred, Enlighten, and Generosity, right? You don't want to put anything, you don't want to put your Hatred in here, or you don't want to put your Haste in here, my apologies. So, because then the Haste does not affect you, right? Slows down your clear speed, that's not what you want. I just so happened to 5-link this while I was trying to just get those 3 links. So I left it, because it doesn't matter if Desecrate and Convocation are linked in there. But you do want Haste in here, just not linked to anything, right? So Haste, Vol Haste is really, really good for bosses. Any percentage on it is good, but it's not super required, because when you're bossing and you use your Vol Haste, it's going to be right up in the boss's face. So Qual's Nest is kind of what pulls all this together and saves you a jewel socket, because it gives you all attributes and it gives you reduced mana reserve. So as you can see, we're pretty capped out as far as reservation goes. And so Qual's Nest is a great way to help for that. It also gives you that 100% increased Aspect of the Avian buff effect. So Aspect of the Avian usually only gives you 10 movement speed and 10% additional damage when it cycles back and forth. And you can see that happening up here. So for 5 seconds, you deal double damage. For another 5 seconds, you and your minions have increased move speed. So yeah, you don't need to 5-link this or anything like that. So this build requires no 6 links, no 5 links, no nothing. You need the staff and Sequals, and that is it. And the Bubonic Trail. Everything else is just quality of life. These are Grip of the Council is really cheap, so I would recommend doing those. We are running a Freeze and Bleed Flask. Instance if you have. I just haven't crafted instant onto this. Move speed flasks, again, just for more clear. And a Roomies for that additional block. So right now, we're sitting at 18% chance to block. We pop our Roomies. And we go up to 36, right? So that does help keep us alive, gives us a little armor, gives us a little survivability, and gives us a little spell block. So that helps against bosses. When I'm fighting Shaper, you can see I actually block one of his slams, which saved my butt, which was nice. But that's the overall build, guys, right there. You can swap in Zealotry. If you do want a little bit more damage, you can swap out Convocation, put it down here, and move your gems around a little bit. Zealotry is really, really good, but the only thing that we're really benefiting from is the more spell damage, right? So you're looking at more spell damage versus running a Haste, which gives you more move speed and attack speed, and they already do plenty of damage. So if you want more single target, you can drop in Zealotry, but you don't have to do that, right? So that's the gear, guys. As far as auras, we are running Hatred, we are running Aspect of the Avian, and we are running Haste. So those are the 3 auras we're going to want. Our Animate Guardian, I put a build video up on how to equip that, so check that out. I'll put that somewhere over here. And is running a Belly of the Beast, a Learcat Mask, a Dying Breath Staff, Calms, and Asenath's Silk Touch Gloves. So let's run through a map so you guys can see how it plays, and we'll go from there. So as you can see, when I walk over these corpses, it just generates more and more phantasms for me, which is very strong. And you kind of just run around and let your phantasms do all the work. So we do have faster projectiles on because it does help with the clear. The faster projectiles actually makes your phantasms projectiles travel further because they have a set duration, so increasing the speed of them means that they can go farther before they run out of that base duration. So this is a T15 summit map, just instant phasing the boss. When you go into a new area, you just have to pop some Desecrates, and then you just run straight through, and your minions just clean up everything as you run by them. And then you summon new ones every time you walk over one of the corpses. It's just really good. And as you can see, we're also getting that temp chains. So you see that temp chains on that corpse. That is from our Animate Guardian, applying that temp chains. And our Guardian is currently sitting at 24,000 life. Pretty okay. So that's the gist of it, guys. I'll show you guys how it performs against a Legion, even on a T15. Just find that real quick. As you can see, you literally just run around, and your phantasms take care of everything. And then you just walk over some corpses, and it summons them, which prevents you from having to stop and re-summon your phantasms as you run along, which really helps with your clear speed. It really helps with everything. It's just really good. So if we can find a... There it is. So you guys can see how it clears out the Legion encounters. This kind of clears everything out just like everything else. Cast a few skellies when you need to. Ooh, Chimera, sweet. And then you just kind of back up and let your minions clear everything out. You do have to watch out. Legion bosses and Legion encounters are notoriously rippy. They're very, very, very dangerous. So you do want to kind of keep your distance a little bit and let your minions do the work, but they clean up everything really nicely. The only thing that is annoying is the Templars. They have their proxy shields. That's the only thing as far as Legion that you kind of have to like cast a few skeletons in there. But that is it, guys. That is the build. If you guys have any questions let me know as I push through and kill Uber Elder. Hopefully I'll be able to do that today. But when I kill Uber Elder, I will upload that. The Deathless Shaper kill is down below. The POBs down below. All the links and all that jazz is down below. But thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. And hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.